Hello everyone. Thank you very much for coming to this information session, Proven Pathways to Legal Success. We have a live audience here, so thank you very much for coming. And also to our friends online, thank you very much for watching us. My name is Thomas. We also have Danny, Simon here. We are in charge of various law programs at Hong Kong U SPACE. In particular, I'm responsible for the Certificate in Legal Studies. Danny here is responsible for the Graduate Diploma in English and Hong Kong Law. And Simon is in charge of the London U LB Prep program. So thanks again. Okay. So, the thing is, you're here because you're thinking about having law as a potential pathway, or you're thinking about using law to enhance your career. So why study with Hong Kong U SPACE? Well, one of the good reasons for studying Hong Kong U SPACE is because we have a great reputation. We've been here for a long, long time. In fact, Hong Kong U SPACE started their law program even before Hong Kong U. We had our first LB program in 1964. So we've been around for a long, long time. And our alumni consists of lawyers, judges, CEO, managers, and so on. We have a lot of students. So here are some of our former students. We have barristers, we have solicitors, we have directors, journalists, as I mentioned, judges, a whole host of people who have studied with us in the past and have been very pleased with the results they've got from studying our programs. We have partnered with various prestigious international institutions, for example, the University of London and also the Manchester Metropolitan University. So both great partners that we work with, and all our pathways can lead to UK qualifications, which might be very important to our friends who are thinking about not only being admitted in Hong Kong, but also in the UK as well. And of course, Hong Kong U SPACE is a non-profit organization, and all the money that we receive goes back to students in terms of materials, facilities, and so on. So that is very important. But we also have fantastic top quality teachers, qualified lawyers, barristers, solicitors, Hong Kong U law professors, top UK law professors. For example, in my own program, the Certificate in Legal Studies, we have the head of the law school at Hong Kong U who teaches one of the subjects on my program. So today we'll talk about our three main key programs. The Certificate in Legal Studies, which is the entry-level, easier way to study law. The Graduate Diploma in English and Hong Kong Law, which provides a very affordable, speedy pathway to not only qualifying in Hong Kong, but also in UK as well. And of course, the very internationally prestigious law program, the London U LB Prep course, which we have been offering for a long, long time. So I won't go through this chart too much, otherwise it's a bit boring for all involved. But you can see here that our pathways, whether you're starting from the certificate or, the graduate diploma or the London LB, they all can lead to admission as a lawyer in Hong Kong, in UK, etc. And I think this is very important for, many of our students who are thinking about becoming a lawyer. 75% plus successful admission to PCLL. That's a very, very good record compared to other institutions, 75+%. If you go online in forums, you ask around, that performance is a lot better than other institutions. I won't name any names, but we're doing well. We're doing very well. All right. And for most of our courses, especially for the graduate diploma in English and Hong Kong law, there is no extra PCL exam. So no extra work, no extra, things to do. And the same for the certificate in legal studies. We can talk about that later, but no extra exams, right? Or very little exams, okay? So that saves you time, saves you headaches, saves you money, right? As I mentioned before, UK pathways available for all our programs, whether the certificate, graduate diploma, or the London ULB, okay? And many of our students are practicing, studying, working all around the world. We have our students working in the States, Canada, Dubai, Australia. You don't have to believe me, all right? Just look in LinkedIn, type graduate diploma in English Hong Kong law, certificate in legal studies, London ULB. You have a lot of students working all around the world, right? So let's talk about the certificate and diploma in legal studies, which I am responsible for. So it's the practical way, the easiest way to start your legal studies, okay? And this is especially important because not everyone wants or intends to become a lawyer, all right? So you might want to study law because you work in HR, engineering, you deal with contracts, torts. That might be very important to you. It's open entry, anyone can join. High exam pass rate, 80 to 90%. The reason why the pass rate is so high is not because I make the exam so easy, everyone can pass. It's because we do give you a lot of help, version classes, past exam papers, and so on, right? To ensure that you do your very best. And consistently, our students have done very well, right? So 9 to 12 months, get your first legal qualification, choose a time when you take your exam, very flexible, right? And these are some of the subjects you can see on the PowerPoint here that you'll be studying. The same legal subjects that you study if you go to law school anywhere in the common law system, right? Fundamental subjects, contracts, torts, land law, criminal law, right? So all very useful, subjects for you to learn. You can become an associate paralegal in the UK. You can become a legal executive if you're on the professional stream. So a lot of opportunities, a lot of exit points, for you. So every step you get an award, right? A beautiful and very important legally recognized legal qualification, whether you're on the certificate, the diploma, advanced diploma in legal studies, right, all the way to PCLL, okay? Some very, very good news. You can see, if you are in the certificate in legal studies pathway, you can go, any point in time to the graduate diploma in English Hong Kong law. You can do the London ULB. There's also a new pathway called the Advanced Diploma for Legal Executives, graduate level, right? This is a brand new program, just been approved, and is another option for you to get to PCLL, right? So a plethora of options for you to choose from, okay? Let's talk about the London ULB, which Simon is responsible for. London U, right? Just the name itself. Very prestigious, internationally recognized, fantastic program that's been running for a long, long time. Since 1964, a long time, right? So we have thousands of past students who are judges, who are barristers, partners of law firms, okay? So the great thing is the London University of London consists of basically all these, top universities. They combine their resources and, the awarding body is the University of London, but they have all the resources from, for example, King's, LSE, Queen Mary, and so on. So very important, right? There are two ways you can start the London ULB prep program, all right? One is the graduate entry. As the name says, graduate means that we assume you already have an undergraduate qualification. Okay, so whether you be, a bachelor in arts or engineering, doesn't matter, right? Or if you don't have, which is completely fine, there's a standard entry, which takes slightly longer. So, depends on what qualifications you have. Okay, portability, right? It is very important. I know that under the current situation, we can't go to many places, but that is still very important because when you think about it, you might move to the UK, you might move to somewhere else around the world, and portability is very important. So the program registration and student status is not affected by relocation. So if you go to Canada, you can still continue your studies. You go to England, you can still continue your studies. Of course, we prefer that you stay with us, in Hong Kong, but that's entirely up to you. So over 100 exam centers globally. So as I mentioned before, we have a lot of different, students who work around the world. You can find them on LinkedIn. So it's very much a global program. Okay. So 60 years of teaching excellence. Just like all our programs, very high pass rate. In fact, if you look at the yellow here, I highlighted this already. 10 first-class graduates in 7 years. This is a very, very good achievement. All right. So just to show you some of our top achieving students, right? Miss Wong Kar Moon, she's a very recent LB graduate, first class honors, and she says it's been a very enjoyable experience, excellent learning support, renowned scholars from the UK coming to Hong Kong to teach you. Dr. Calvin Chong, right? Another LB first class honors graduate, 2018, right? So not that long ago. Outstanding quality teaching and so on. Because we provide you with a comprehensive teaching package, lectures, seminars, mock exams, revision lectures, right? That's why they do so well, because we provide so much help, so much support, right? And minimums, PCLL emission conversion compliance, right? So compared to other programs, it's much fewer conversion exams than other English LB programs. If you study somewhere else, the danger is that you might be, loaded with all these requirements, spend more time, more money, more chances to actually not do so well, all right? So these are the subjects. I won't go through them. They are very typical, law subjects, everything you need, right, to become a lawyer, to meet the requirements in Hong Kong, in UK, etc. Okay, so let's talk about the last, but also a very, very popular program, right? So popular that we have every year, is it 300 or 500 students? I think, I forgot, some enormous amount of applicants. It's very popular. So popular that we sometimes, have to say no, reject some students, right? So it's very important, if you're interested, that you enroll as soon as you can. The deadline is coming up soon, and I think Daniel will mention the deadline shortly. All right, so benefits. These are the main benefits. Fast track to legal practice. You want something quick? You want to get admitted as fast as you can? Then by all means, right, enroll in this program. High PCLL emission, as I mentioned before, more than 75%. I'll repeat that again, more than 75%. So, what's the point if you want to become a lawyer, doing a program and not being able to get into PCLL? That's important, right? No PCLL conversion exams. By doing this program, you meet all the requirements, It's affordable compared to a JD, costing about $400,000 Hong Kong or even more, right? This is very, very affordable. And of course, because of these reasons, it's very popular, right? So there are many different ways you can get admitted. One way, of course, is to have an undergraduate qualification. The other way is via the certificate in legal studies pathway. Okay, so whether you want to enter directly or via the certificates, both are excellent ways to enter. Oh, here you go. More than 500 applicants, right? I was wrong. Not even 500, right? More than 500 applicants, right? And many students become disappointed, right? So I'm not trying to sell this to you, but I don't want you to be disappointed. So really, if you want an affordable, popular way of studying law in Hong Kong, you want to, be in a program where you learn about English law, all right? English law and Hong Kong law at the same time. This is the program to study. You can see the various pathways. You can either stay in Hong Kong, go to Manchester, switch back and forth. It's up to you, right? So flexibility, affordability, and of course, popularity. Okay. All right, so here are the subjects you'll be studying. You can see some of the subjects, is part of the English, legal requirements. For example, EU law. I know for Brexit, you might be thinking, well, how come Brexit still need to study EU law? Because EU law is still very much part of the English legal system. Right? So you can study, you can see Year 2, Hong Kong land law, constitutional law. These are all built in to make sure you meet the requirements for admission in Hong Kong. So 100% PCLL UK compliance, right? You think about going to UK? Well, of course, you have freedom to go there. You can transfer to Manchester after 1 year. This is guaranteed, all right? So you want to think about Manchester. I've never been there. I heard it's a nice place, but, you can go, right? So, or stay in Hong Kong, right? We'd love to have you stay here, continue in Hong Kong, qualify as a lawyer in England, Wales, return to Hong Kong, apply to PCLL. So it's all excellent, right? And this is very important for our students. I know that when you start studying, people always say, oh, law is so hard, so difficult, so many English words, legal terms. But the fact is that it is not that hard, not because I'm out with the numbers, because the numbers indicate that most students who start, do pass, right? For the graduate diploma, 97%, for the LB, 99%, right? So if I was playing the lottery, 99% success, I would buy a ticket every time, right? And I know that, we're facing uncertain health situation. We don't know what's going to happen, so this is very important. Students can choose to study face-to-face and online if you want to, right? So these are options available to you, okay? So 24/7 access to recordings, lectures, and so on. Okay, so I think I've spoken a lot already. We'll welcome all questions, whether it be from the audience here. You can type the questions in the chat room. You can ask in the classroom here, and so on. So both myself, Simon, and Danny is here to answer all your questions. So by any medium that you want, please ask us. I know that we unpacked a lot of things already. Don't be shy. I know that this is a big decision. It's an investment in time and money. So it's important that you make the right choice, right? So you might be this program or some other program or something else. Okay?
Thank you, Thomas. We had several questions come in by email, but we really should give priority to those of you who've come into the room. So don't feel shy. If there's anything we've missed, please do ask. Maybe while you're thinking about it, I'll pick up one of the questions that's come in by email, asking actually about, Thomas mentioned about if you start studying in Hong Kong, you might want to move overseas. and particularly referring to the University of London program, which my colleague here, Simon, runs, and saying, if I start studying in Hong Kong on the University of London program, can I transfer to one of the University of London colleges partway through my LLB studies? Simon?
Yeah, thank you, Danny, and thank you for that question raised by the audience. And yes, definitely. The London program, actually, if you register on that, your relocation to any place won't affect your status as the University of London student. Okay, that's for one. And you, as you see, just Thomas had mentioned, you can take examinations in over 100 examination centers around the world. And you may get some local support as well if you want to, tuition, etc. What about the credits? If you earn some credits from your London program, say, for example, you've passed 2, 3, or 4, or even the first level, level 4, all the subjects, those credits are actually recognized by the internal colleges and departments. But of course, every law school, internal law school within the London system would have their own admission policy. And some are actually very, very competitive, and you have to bear in mind with that. And they are world-class law school. So if you want really are thinking of transferring, you have to do well in your examinations for sure. And if you can say, if you're looking for advanced standing admission, say you want to enter year 2 instead of starting afresh, you do need to say score at least over 65 or more % in each of your paper in your level 4 examination, your first year examination. Other than that, even though you don't meet that, sort of thing, requirements, and that law school or that internal department is interested in your application, they may consider you. You may not get the advanced standing, but still your credits earned from the program are still recognized by that department. Okay, that is, I think, I hope I can answer that question. Okay.
Thank you very much, Simon. Remember, HKU SPACE, we're providing law courses for you to study here in Hong Kong. And most of our students will study all the way through in Hong Kong. And as Thomas mentioned, we really have an excellent track record, much better than many other institutions for those of our students who study in Hong Kong, want to continue in Hong Kong to the PCLL and to become lawyers. And we have so many lawyers in Hong Kong among our alumni. But we also want to give you different choices. That's why Simon mentioning just now that if you start studying on the University of London program and you decide you want to switch to London, then yes, you can do that. The program I run, the Graduate Diploma in English and Hong Kong Law, that's run together with Manchester Metropolitan University. So if you start studying in Hong Kong, of course you can finish in Hong Kong. Most of our students finish in Hong Kong. But if you want to transfer, again, you can transfer. Guess where? Not London. Manchester Metropolitan University. You can transfer to Manchester. So the University of London program, you can continue, finish in Hong Kong if you want, or you can try and make arrangements to transfer to colleges in London. The Graduate Diploma in English and Hong Kong Law, you can again finish in Hong Kong. Most students will finish in Hong Kong. Or if you want to, you can transfer partway through to Manchester. And Manchester do actually now guarantee that. So that's the flexibility. Again, of course, most students will be finishing in Hong Kong, but it does give you the flexibility if you change your mind. And of course, for the University of London, Simon, you could actually go elsewhere in the world, can't you?
Yes, of course. You can do it, say, just on your own as an independent candidate. You can just take examination wherever you're prepared. And you can perhaps, say in Canada, some candidates may be considering to relocate to Canada. As far as I know, there are at least 1 or 2 local recognized teaching center by the University of London there to provide local tuition for candidates.
And Thomas, another question came in asking about legal executives. You summarised everything very well, but of course, perhaps there's a little bit more to say about what is a legal executive and why is it a good idea to study a course to become a legal executive?
Yes, thank you very much for that question. A legal executive is basically assistant to lawyers, right? They work in a law firm. They help lawyers perform many of the tasks needed by a law firm, right? And a legal executive is a title basically conferred by the Hong Kong Law Society. And it's a very nice title to have. I mean, it's something that you can put in your CV, on a web page, on LinkedIn, whatever. Of course, right, to become an assistant to a lawyer, you don't necessarily need to become a legal executive, right? We call them by many names: legal assistant, paralegals, law clerks, or we still call them in Chinese CA, right? What I believe, this is my own personal opinion, I think, like in many other jurisdictions, the Law Society is trying to professionalize the role of a, legal assistant, right? So I think if, you are thinking about, working, not necessarily becoming a lawyer, but becoming a legal assistant, law clerk, this is a very good way. Also, if you want the title of a legal executive, you have to be in what we call the professional stream. I think it's a good time for me to explain the differences between the two streams, right? So the similarities are the law is the same, the content is the same, the exams the same, the program director is the same, everything's the same, right? So what's the difference between the general stream and professional stream? Well, in Hong Kong U SPACE, as I mentioned before, we're a non-profit organization. Our goal is not to make money, but to make education affordable to all, right? So that's why we created this general stream, larger class size, more affordable fees, about $23,000 Hong Kong. Most traditionally, we get our students to study at the Hong Kong U campus in the large lecture halls. But if you want to get the title of a legal executive, you have to be in a professional stream, right? More smaller class size, more intimate learning environments, I guess, more opportunity for students and for the teacher to interact with you. A slightly higher cost because we have to fit in more students, right? Otherwise, everything's the same, right? Also, one more important thing, if you're thinking about, the pathway to PCLL via this new program, right? The Advanced Diploma for Legal Executive, graduate level, right? You have to start in the very beginning on a professional stream, right? Okay, so thank you very much for that question.
Yes, remember, you can probably you're here today, you're thinking, at least some of you, thinking about becoming a lawyer, and Hong Kong U SPACE, we've helped so many students become successful lawyers, especially in Hong Kong, but around the world. But although we offer quicker paths than many other institutions, I mean, it is going to take several years and minimum to become a lawyer. So that can be the end goal, but it's going to take a while to get there. And that's where the idea of legal executive or other similar qualifications comes in. Okay, a legal executive, if you do different legal studies, right? I mean, 1.5 to more commonly 2.5 years, you can be qualified as a legal executive, right?
Exactly. I mean, we have this saying, I mean, this is very silly in a way, but, earn while you learn, right? What that means is, you don't have to, unlike other programs from other institutions, you don't have to quit your job and, it's not easy, right? So you can study and still have an income at the same time, right? And I think the great thing about Hong Kong U SPACE is that we are very experienced in in catering to part-time students. We've been doing it since we were created. That's the difference.
We are pretty much here for part-time, and the vast majority, in fact, almost all our law courses in Hong Kong U SPACE are for part-time students. I started my own legal studies here at Hong Kong U SPACE studying part-time on the law courses here. Before I studied here at Hong Kong U SPACE, I knew no law at all, and I learned what law I knew and went on to be running programs here from studying here part-time. And we get people from literally all walks of life, okay? So we understand, right, that as I remembered full well when I was studying here, when you're in a busy job and rushing to classes, okay? There's plenty of other questions coming in by email, but just again, I'll give a first priority always goes to those who've actually in the room with us. So please don't feel shy if there are any questions.
I know there's a lot of information to absorb, so it might take some time. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, please do. There's a microphone on its way.
So thank you for your introduction of these three main courses. Other than that, I'm interested in one of the courses in the prospectus that is about the arbitration. Would you mind to speak more about the content of the course? Because I'm quite interested on the arbitration and mediation. So don't know how to have more knowledge about this or any entry about this professional area. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question asking about arbitration courses. We try our best to cover a wide variety of questions here. Unfortunately, arbitration, although it is closely related to law, it's actually run by a different section within Hong Kong U SPACE. So try as we best. We're probably not the best people to answer your question. We can certainly pass on your details to the people running the arbitration courses.
Can I ask you your background, a little bit of your background and perhaps your reason for your interest in what we call alternative dispute resolution?
Professional accountants, but due to my working experience, I think that mediation or arbitration is more peaceful way to solve disputes.
That's correct.
Right?
That's correct.
So,
that's correct.
So I just have a little idea about law because just study a few subjects in my graduate level. But I think this may be helpful for me in my current working environment or maybe enhance in my other level. Just as I understand, there is a arbitration association or whatever. So want to know more about that. And I know there is a postgraduate diploma about this area. So want to know more and see whether I can take this because a little bit comprehensive and I need to travel overseas for work sometimes. So see whether I can afford for this course.
Can I just, if you don't mind me saying, because my background is in international arbitration. I used to work for an organization in the States. So I know a little bit about arbitration. If you don't mind me saying, given, I'm just assuming things, right? But given your accounting background, which is fantastic, for someone to be in the field of arbitration, mediation, I think it's important for the person to have a body of law, because when they go into mediation, arbitration, negotiation, the negotiating power and position is very important. So I would suggest it's important whether you're dealing with family mediation or commercial, international arbitration, for someone to have this body of law beforehand. And also in my own program, the certificate diploma, we do have courses built in, for example, family law, talking about family mediation, all right? In the Advanced Diploma for Legal Studies, we have a course on negotiation and dispute resolution. So I think studying arbitration mediation by itself is great, but I would really strongly recommend that you have as a fundamental basis the body of law beforehand, before you go into studying that, especially at a postgraduate level. Okay.
Does that answer your question or any follow-up question? Yeah. No, at all. Any other questions? Otherwise, we'll pass to some more email questions.
Okay, we have a question here. It says, I'm not sure when I'll become a lawyer. I mean, that's fine. I mean, a lot of people don't know. What path is best for me in terms of time and costs? Maybe we can all answer that.
I think, Thomas, I pass to you because yours is the general introductory course. But just before I pass to you, I'll point out that Hong Kong U SPACE, we're the most popular providers of part-time law courses anywhere in Hong Kong. Far more people study law part-time with us in Hong Kong U SPACE than anywhere else in Hong Kong. And we have, 800, 1,000, more than 1,000 students a year. So you can see most of the students, although we have so many students who go on to become successful lawyers, if 1,000 of students of ours a year were becoming lawyers, there would be huge numbers of lawyers in Hong Kong. You can see large numbers of students study law with us every year for reasons other than becoming lawyers, or in most cases because they're not sure. And if they're not sure, they normally start at the easiest level because that's where you want to test it, and that is Thomas's course, the Certificate in Legal Studies.
Many of my students don't necessarily want to become lawyers, and the reason why is, you know, if I look at, you know, my students, their background, a lot of them are very successful already. I mean, it seems surprising, but I have students who are CEOs. I have students who are professors, right? If you ask me privately, I can tell you, you know, by, you know, doing a Google search who they are. But, you know, that's fine. Not everyone wants to become a lawyer, or they aren't sure yet. And one of the great things about my program is that unlike other programs, for example, you study JD after 1 year, you're not happy with it, you pay $400,000 already, what do you get after 1 year, all right? Of course, you get the knowledge, but you don't get an award, right? For my program, every step of the way, you get an award. And for some students, they might consider, hey, I haven't studied for a long time, I'm a bit stressed, I'm a bit concerned. I'm going to start off with the certificate and then apply to other law programs, right? And many of my students do that. Then they apply to, you know, London U or the graduate.
You can stop and start, can't you, as well?
Yeah, stop and start. And, you know, because it's so affordable, it's so relatively easy, the analogy I use is the difference between learning how to drive and becoming a professional race car driver, right? So these two programs is, you know, because you have to be able to get the skills, right? You know, to argue cases in court, to give advice to clients, right? Whereas my course, really the fundamentals, the basics, right? What you need to know, okay? So depends on you. If you want to do it in a very short, affordable time frame, then I recommend, you know, Danny's course. You want an internationally prestigious, portable, worldwide qualification, then of course the London ULB. You want an easy way to start, then my program. Right?
We can see more questions coming in. There's one over there. But again, priority to anyone here with us. If you have any questions, yes, please. There's a question over there. And then for those of you who send in questions online, don't worry, we will get to them as well.
Thank you for all the information three of you have given us. I have a problem. I have completed the London ULB program. I've graduated with a less good honor sometime in 1992, somewhere around that years. But I have difficulty in going to the PCL course because I have to undertake the PCL conversion course first. And I have studied a certificate in legal study. And I have studied the basic law and the business association. But for my case, I have difficulty in going to undertake the graduate diploma in English law. You have to start all over again for at least 3 years. So what would be your advice? How should I go forward and get a PCL place?
I think the first thing to say is please don't worry. There are a lot of students in your situation, and I see that every year. You're not the only one, okay? So I think that's sort of reassured, because I can tell you I know that because I have been reading the applications for the graduate diploma in English and Hong Kong law, and not just this. I read all the applications for the graduate diploma in English Hong Kong law. We have 400-500 a year, but I read them all. Not just this year. I've been doing it for 4 years or so, and I've seen many students in your situation. And honestly speaking, in your situation, they normally do the graduate diploma in English and Hong Kong law. They, having done a University of London LB, they go back and do it. I appreciate, of course, it does mean you're going to have to do another 2 years on the graduate diploma if you want to get full PCL eligibility a third year. But you probably, to get into the PCLL, you probably need better grades than your original result, right? And for that, you need another qualification. And the graduate diploma in English and Hong Kong law is quicker than doing a full LLB again. I mean, there is now another option as well. If you're doing the certificate in legal studies, you can follow through to the new PCL pathway that's open from the certificate diploma, advanced diploma in legal studies. But that wouldn't necessarily be quicker. From what I can see, you have two issues. You need to cover all the PCL subjects, but you're seeming also to say that perhaps you need higher grades to get into PCL as well, and the higher grades would have to come from doing another course again, I'm afraid.
So I have to study for the graduate diploma in English law?
Well, you could just take some PCL. You could just, we offer preparatory courses for PCL conversion exams. You could just take the separate PCL conversion exams. And when did you finish University of London LLB? What year was it?
1992.
92. It is, I mean, technically speaking, the PCLL say there is no time limit, but if your purpose in doing PCLL is to become a solicitor or barrister, both the Law Society and the Bar will impose time limits, so it's highly likely they wouldn't actually recognise your University of London LLB because it's too old now. And PCL might not admit you for that reason, so you're going to need some kind of fresh qualification.
Can I ask, when did you do the certificate in legal studies?
3 or 4 years ago.
Okay. I mean, my concern is because you finished the LB a long time ago, the law has shifted so dramatically that it might be in your interest. I mean, for me, I need to update the law all the time, like so, you know, the law, you know, those years ago to now has changed so much. I mean, you know, corporate law, you know, family law, a lot of law. So it might be, I know that's, you know, probably not as attractive, but doing it actually, again, in a, you know, in the graduate diploma might be a good idea, just because it's just changed so much, yeah.
So,
sorry, I wish we could offer an easier answer, but even if you apply for the PCL, as I said, because of when you got your original degree, it's very likely that that would be considered. We can't say for sure because we don't handle PCL and legal. It's very likely you would then find that they would say the qualification was too old. So it's better you get a new qualification now before you apply.
So I think I will start all over again.
Well, as again, remember, there are many people like you, and many people who go on very successfully, don't they, Simon? Yes.
Yeah, there was I think it was a general understanding, because I was the PCL course coordinator a while back in 1997 to 2003, and I read a lot of your applications, etc. I think the consensus is like, your law degree should have been completed within about 10 years. Okay, so yours from 1992, really, the time is elapsed already. So you have to think about perhaps another alternative route, like the GDL, etc. Yeah.
Okay. We've got a lot of questions coming in. Any more questions in the room?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Eric, you've asked, I would like to know more about career path if I take the course, but we're not entirely clear which course you mean. If you'd like to send a follow-up, we'd be very happy to answer about that question. In the meantime, we have questions both on the graduate diploma and on the University of London. Let me take, first of all, the graduate diploma in English and Hong Kong law. Does the graduate diploma in English and Hong Kong law allow me to continue to solicitor and barrister legal training courses in the UK? Thank you very much for that question. That's a very important point which we didn't cover earlier. Of course, we're trying to be succinct, but many people will be thinking about whether they can continue on to qualify as a lawyer in the UK. And the answer is both if you enroll this year and if you enroll before September the 1st, and for the graduate diploma in English and Hong Kong law you must, because the application deadline is only a month away now, July the 2nd. But if you enroll this year before September the 1st on the graduate diploma in English and Hong Kong law or the University of London LLB, both those courses are recognised for continuing to qualify as both solicitors and barristers in the UK, or England and Wales. You know, Scotland has a separate legal system. So Scotland, if you're thinking about Scotland, sorry, we can't help you, but England and Wales, fine. Okay? Even better, Okay, the subjects necessary for continuing to become a lawyer in England and Wales are fewer than Hong Kong. If your goal is to become a lawyer in England and Wales, you only need to do 2 years on the graduate diploma in English and Hong Kong law. Okay, we have a third year, an extension, that's for if you're doing the PCLL. After 2 years, you will be eligible. Remember what I said, if you want to actually move to the UK earlier, after 1 year, you can move to Manchester and finish the course there. Now, this is a very good question because the situation will be changing. That's why I said before September the 1st. After September the 1st, the pathway for becoming a solicitor in England and Wales will change. There will be a new exam. If you're enrolled before September the 1st, here in Hong Kong, you don't have to be enrolled in England and Wales. You are eligible for both the old route and the new route. You can decide later. If you enroll after September the 1st here in Hong Kong, you will only be eligible for the new route. So if anyone is thinking of possibly taking the path towards becoming a lawyer in England and Wales, and of course you wouldn't be sure at this early stage, but if you're thinking about that, it is strongly in your interest to enroll on an English law course, and you have the graduate diploma in English and Hong Kong law or the University of London LLB before September the 1st. Okay, and Simon, you would add a qualification. If you're thinking of University of London LLB, you need to really, not just September the 1st, you've got to get moving at least, a month or so before. Right, yes. Also a question, yes, do you want to read out the question?
Yeah, sure. Yes, there's a question concerning the University of London qualification. Are there graduates succeeded in getting admitted to practice in other countries? Yes, we had a lot of students from study with Hong Kong SPACE who succeeded in getting admissions to legal practice in Canada, New York Bar, as well as California Bar. But of course, a lot of graduates succeeded in getting admission to practice in Hong Kong as well as in England and Wales. But mind you, you have to check with the rules of that particular jurisdictions. You know, there are different rules set by the qualifying bodies there. And also course attendance is usually a very, very important requirement. So if you just do it as an independent, the whole program as an independent candidate, that may not exactly fulfill their requirement. Like they are asking, actually the qualifying body would ask for your record of attendance. So that's why normally we got a lot of students coming back to us asking for certification. We will give you that testimony, okay? You have attended how many hours with us, that sort of thing. Now, this is important, I have to stress, because there are students who couldn't get that, get admitted just because of the lack of, insufficient hours of attendance. Like they may have done the first year independently, but the second year they started, doing the qualification with us. That's not sufficient. So I would advise that if your aim is to get admitted to those jurisdictions, first check the rules. Second, you have to attend courses. All right. So that's why Hong Kong SPACE is here for you.
Thomas, you're qualified in Australia, right? A lot of people study here and then go off to qualify in Australia.
Yes, I think one of the great things about studying law is in general is the ability to work around the world in terms of the common law jurisdictions. I mean, you look at the law firms, especially the larger international law firms. You have Hong Kong lawyers working in the UK, working in Singapore, Malaysia, Australia. Of course, that requires additional requirements and so on. But what I'm saying is the law that you learned in the common law system is very much transferable, right? So, for example, the corporate law we have in Hong Kong is very much based upon English and also, strangely enough, Australian law. So, it's just good to know.
We've only got about 10 minutes left. We've still got plenty of questions coming in by email, but I just want to give one more opportunity to our friends here. Yes, over in the corner.
I studied in the CTU some 25 years ago for a course called the Higher Diploma in Legal Studies, but I didn't pursue the career in legal field after all these years. But in the future, if I get retired from my present job, I want to pursue an a second career in legal executive. Can you give me some exemption for the studies that I have earned in the past?
Maybe I can answer that. As we touched upon before, I mean, we appreciate the fact that you studied in the past, but just like for me, like as a lawyer, we have to do continuous education every single year, and the reason for that is because the law changes so dramatically. The law is all about knowing the requirements, and unfortunately, while you have a strong basis, I think it's better in a way for you to start afresh. What I mean by that is because the law has changed so much, the legal profession has changed. A lot of things that were not there in the past. We didn't have online smartphones, right? So a lot of things have changed. So it might be more advantageous for you, especially if you're thinking about pursuing a second path, right? To know the law, the new law, so to speak, right? Otherwise, you might be thinking about, the law in the past rather than the law that it is now, if I can say that.
To become a legal executive needs to be recognized by the Law Society. Thomas's course is recognized by the Law Society, and they set very strict requirements. If we didn't follow those requirements, then you wouldn't actually get the legal executive qualification. So that's why we have to, even when we would like to be flexible ourselves, we have to follow their requirements. Does that answer your question?
Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah. There's a question coming in online from Kylie. Kylie says, any courses for students without legal background? I think probably all of our courses, but Thomas, maybe
you'd like to pick on that? I mean, all our courses, we don't assume any prior legal knowledge, understanding. That's a great thing. We understand that, people study with us because they don't have the background in the law. I mean, it's great if someone already has background in law. I mean, that gives you an unbeatable advantage, but we don't assume any prior training at all. So whether it's my course, Danny's course, Simon's course, there's no assumption of having any legal training.
When I joined what is now my course, of course it wasn't back then, when I started as a student on the graduate diploma in English and Hong Kong law, I had no legal background. I had never studied law in my life before. And we have you mentioned doing studying a law course after you retire. Every year on all of these courses, we have a significant number of students who have retired. There's no age limit, and we're a wide range of ages. A significant number of students who've retired and want to study law, not necessarily for a legal career, but just out of interest, come and join these courses. Of course, if they join your course, there's no entry requirement. Of course, there are many people with graduates and masters on the course, but there's no actual entry requirements, right?
I mean, we had quite a number of retirees who studied my course. I mean, the great thing is because they come in at night, the weekend modes as well. So I actually have a lot of retired students. Yeah.
We've got about 5 minutes, slightly more left. Any more questions from our friends here? There's quite an interesting question, Simon, that has come in by email, which affects both of our courses. What is the main difference between the University of London LLB course and the graduate diploma in English and Hong Kong law? Because they both allow you to qualify as lawyers in Hong Kong and England and Wales. So do you want to have a go? What's the difference between them?
I think in terms of in the PCLL context, if you are looking for qualifying as a lawyer in Hong Kong, getting admitted to PCLL, I think the one thing is that the GDL is conversion free. Okay, you just go ahead and
no extra exams.
No extra examinations. But for Hong Kong, for the London program, you still need to do some conversion because that is taken as an English law degree. But the number of, if you follow our plan, the number of conversion examinations you're going to take won't be that lot. Okay, just about 3 top-up subjects plus 1 or 2 extra. That's it. So if you compare to other English law degrees offered in Hong Kong and anywhere else, you literally will be taking less conversion examinations. And we provide prep courses for students who are taking the conversion examinations as well. Okay, I think that is one, in terms of legal practice admission, that is one big difference between the two programs.
I mean, it's worth saying that these are the two most popular part-time study ways to in Hong Kong into the legal profession. I mean, you see a lot of other courses making a lot of splash, right? But the vast majority of students who choose to study part-time in Hong Kong will choose either the Graduate Diploma in English Hong Kong Law or the University of London LLB. And they can lead, as you said, they lead to the same opportunities, but it's really a choice between what you want to emphasize. Graduate Diploma in English and Hong Kong Law, that's easier in terms of going on to the PCLL and has a very, very strong track record in terms of more than 75% of our students admitted. They don't have to take conversion exams. On the other hand, okay, University of London LLB, you get an LLB from University of London. And most people, if they're just looking for the prestigious qualification, they would prefer the LLB from University of London. If you're going to go to somewhere like Australia or Canada, a qualification from University of London probably more useful than a Graduate Diploma in English and Hong Kong Law. So you have to, they both have, but that's why they're so popular. They both have their own merits, and they're slightly different. Graduate Diploma in English and Hong Kong Law is more directly qualifying for the PCLL in Hong Kong, and indeed legal practice in UK as well. Whereas University of London LLB is broader. It provides you with internationally famous degree. Everybody knows University of London, and it's also probably more useful in other places outside England and Wales and Hong Kong. Yeah. Okay. Maybe the last chance.
Even we don't ask questions
we'll still
now.
Be here, yes.
I mean, we have a lot of ways to ask us. We have phone, we have email, we have Instagram, we have Facebook. So you can see here, you know, just type in Hong Kong SPACE Law. We also have a brand new page on Hong Kong SPACE. You can just type in, you know, Hong Kong SPACE study law. You can find us, you know, it's all very easy, all right? So if you think of something, please feel free to ask.
And Thomas, if you pass the top sheet from that pile. One thing I'd like to stress, at Hong Kong SPACE, we're a non-profit making institution. We're not like some other people advertising that they're there to make money out of you. We do not make profits. All our money goes back into educating students in Hong Kong. And that is our sole job, to educate students, okay? That's why we are always very, very interested in student feedback. Hong Kong SPACE, students come first. And any of you who've taken Hong Kong SPACE courses before will know you get regular surveys where you get to rate the teachers. You get to tell us how we're doing. And it does start today. For those of you who are here, we'd very much like your honest, anonymous opinions on how we did today. So for those, and if you're listening online, of course, you're welcome to send your opinions in as well. But for those of you who are actually here with us today, please do take a moment to fill in the white sheet, which is among the sheets in front of you, and just tell us how you think we did. If you do decide to study with us, you'll be given many, many more surveys like this. And I myself and Thomas and Simon, we spend a huge amount of time reading the feedback from that survey so that we can do our best to provide the best possible experience for students.
Okay. Well, if there's no more questions for now, we'd like to thank you, all of you, in the classroom and both online. So thank you very much for your participation. So please visit our Hong Kong SPACE YouTube channel, our own Hong Kong SPACE Law Facebook page, or, you know, I'll just to sum up quickly, you know, Hong Kong SPACE been running law programs for a long time, and we know the needs of part-time students. And studying law is good, whether you want to become a lawyer or, you know, advance your legal career. We have, you know, 3 great options available. So think about it. Well, not too long, because, you know, if you want to become a lawyer in the UK, especially, it's a good idea to enroll as soon as you can. Okay, so thank you very much for all your time. Thank you.
Thank you.